What's up? I'm an Empathetic Chicken, and I'm here to do another collective oracle card reading. And the topic of today's reading is going to be, what's your hurry? I made a spread. I don't know if that's going to be backwards or not. I don't think it is. But, yeah. Basically, I just been in, like, plan, budget, Kickstarter mode, because for people who don't know, I'm, like, planning to launch 2 of my decks on there soon, and I've had 2 like goals for the deadline, and I'm just not gonna make the goal like for a second time, because I'm just realizing all of the steps and just how important it is to like cover all the bases and not rush the process, which I'm trying to do. And last night I was like talking to a friend and having some realizations about how I like rush myself, and I pulled some cards just to like kind of get to the bottom of why I am like so dead set on having like a certain goal and meeting a timeline. And the card that came up for me was the Knight of Swords, and I don't have that deck with me. It was just like the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but yeah, and I clarified and got the Devil. So that tells me that I'm just kind of like stuck in a little pattern of rushing myself. So for me, like the Knight of Swords kind of just represents like that forward, like just rushing in energy. It's just like not thinking, it's just going, got a mission, like a goal in mind, headed there, like no time for talking or stopping, like just trample whatever's in the way and just keep going. Like, don't think about the consequences until after the fact, which can be good energy, like if you need to, like, you know, get something done. Like, it's certain, I feel like everything in its context will work, but like sometimes we kind of like can be stuck in that energy of just like rushing and not really thinking things through. So like this is for the people out there maybe in a similar situation where you just feel rushed all the time, and like you just like need to meet like this deadline. Like you just feel like you're never getting anything done, and you're just like pushed for time. Because like I feel like I've been through this drought of a creative period where I haven't made anything or done anything, and now that I'm finally like doing stuff, it just feels like the pressure of like all the backlog of just non-creativity, like it's like I need to just like make up for all that lost time, it feels like. And then also like I just really started to think about like, I guess the timing of things, like after my dad died a couple years back, because it's just like you never realize how much time you don't have until you don't have it, which doesn't really help this situation if I'm trying to sell like the do list. But I mean, I guess I'm saying just slow down and enjoy more instead of just rushing to the next thing, because I mean you never know how much of one thing you'll get. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I'm racing the daylight right now, so I might have to edit this into little clips of the cards instead of me like sitting here reading them to you. But yeah, we'll get to it. I pulled the cards already, and I feel like they're sending a pretty clear message. And yeah, gonna get to it now. So no pressure if this doesn't resonate or it's not where you're at. I'm just kind of putting it out there because where I'm at. So maybe somebody out there needs to hear it. Either way, I'm just showing up because I need to hear it. Stay tuned. So this is kind of like a behind the camera view of what I see when I'm doing a reading, because my mind is just like frantic and doesn't hold on to things for long. So I'd have like visual aids to help me keep track of what I'm doing. But yeah, these are the spread positions and the cards we got. Some really interesting cards. I am excited to dive in, but I think I'm gonna go inside now and get in some better lighting because it's dark. Or it's gonna be in a minute. Okay, so just for like a little theme, I pulled the Knight of Swords in this deck, which is the Knight of Moons, and this is the Haunted Cat Tarot. Yes. But anyways, I'm gonna get to the spread positions now. So for what goal we're racing towards, we have the Two of Swords and the Sleepwalker. So just from what I know about the Two of Swords, it's usually like, I don't know, it can be about it like a choice, because there's like two options. But it can be kind of about like self-preservation, or I don't know, like there's different interpretations of it. But usually it's just kind of like this whole refusing to see the truth thing. But I mean, that can be like a boundary too. So I mean, in this case, I feel like maybe we're not really clear on what we're actually racing towards. Like maybe we do have kind of like a goal in mind, but maybe we don't know our motivation. So with this little Sleepwalker card, I'm just getting like, it's not really it's like this cloaked figure. I mean, they're kind of just walking. I mean, if you think about somebody who sleepwalks, they don't really have like a purpose. I mean, they're asleep. Maybe they do in like another realm, like the dreamscape, but as far as like in reality, they're kind of just like, they look like they're just kind of walking around without a purpose, like aimlessly existing. So, I mean, maybe we're kind of not sure what exactly we're racing towards, but we feel like this pull to like rush ourselves. And yeah, it's just what I'm getting. Like this cat is just kind of like, there's two options here, and he's kind of not choosing. He's just kind of sitting there, like he's not playing with either ball, man. Like he's just sitting on the branch, like. So maybe we're not really racing towards anything. As maybe in our little hurry, we're just kind of not taking time to consider much of anything. We're just trying to get to the finish line with whatever, I don't know, like just sort of like waking up, getting through the day, doing the routine, just to wake up and do it all over again. So maybe like there is no finish line to this race, so I mean, other than just physical death. But yeah, I'm just getting that there's definitely a need to question why we might be kind of stuck in this pattern of rushing on to the next thing. So maybe you're kind of like me and you don't really know what the source of this like need to like reach a destination, like maybe you don't know where that comes from, and you might need to like explore a little bit more of that instead of just like going through the motions. It's like sleepwalking through life. I mean, I'm not judging because I do it too, and I just had to like give myself a minute to reconnect with like my motivations behind my Kickstarter and doing what I'm doing with my life. Like I just needed a minute to kind of think it through instead of just like going through the motions of the thing, like whatever your situation is. I feel like sometimes we just get caught up doing the everyday stuff and just whatever it takes to get there, and we lose sight of like why we started doing the thing in the first place. So like it can be helpful to kind of reconnect with that and just slow down and take time to be more aware. So for the second position, for why is it all consuming, this might bring a little insight to why we are kind of in this aimless pursuit. So we have the Seven of Moons, which is the Seven of Swords, and the Reflection. So usually like the Seven of Swords is all about kind of like deception. It's like sneaking away into the night, stealing all the stuff from the village, like is the traditional kind of portrayal. Cats can be kind of like sneaky anyways, but I mean this cat looks like he's kind of like lurking. He's kind of going through the grass. He might be hunting something, I don't know. But I don't know, I feel like with this Reflection card and the Seven of Swords, it might be pointing out to how we're in need of some self-reflection, like in the ways that we maybe deceive ourselves into thinking that like this endless pursuit will make us feel whole and like we made it, like we achieved something. Because it can be easy to tie like our like sense of achievement and worth together, like, and make it seem like, well, if I accomplish this thing, then that makes me worth something, and I achieved like what I was supposed to achieve. But like really, we're just here and we made all this stuff up. Like technically we created all these games that we play in reality. So I mean technically there are no real rules, but we do play the game and abide by them just because it's what we're like taught, you know? So I think this sort of like endless rut that we get stuck in is like all consuming, just because it's a way that we deceive ourselves into thinking that we're important. Oh my god, this is mean. I don't know. So I've had a lot of struggle with meaning and purpose and all that, and people who follow my channel and work and stuff like that, they know. So I just feel like sometimes all this stuff is just a distraction. It's just kind of like, I don't know, I'm thinking of that Angels and Airwaves song. Like there's a lyric and I can't remember the name of the song, but I remember it says like, or I think it's Apollo's something, but it says like, oh, what does it say? It's like, finally I get this feeling we're all alone in one big world, just to realize that all these shapes and colors, oh my god, it's hard to like talk without singing it, but I'm not gonna sing. I'm just like, all these shapes and colors are what, oh my god. Let's see, finally I get this feeling we're all alone in one big world, just to realize that all these shapes and colors are, so it doesn't hurt so badly. There we go. Oh my god, that was horrible, but that's what it is. But it's just like, we need all these distractions. This is the reality of my brain. We need all these distractions just so like we're not just existing, you know? Like we create the meaning and stuff to like pass the time and push the little boulder up and down. Like it just helps to feel fulfilled. Why we need to feel fulfilled, I have no clue. But yeah, I think we get stuck in these little patterns of just doing the same old because it passes the time. And sometimes it just feels like what we have to do. So the gist is, we deceive ourselves by thinking we have to stay busy all the time and achieve. Like, just keep checking off that checklist or else we're useless. But that's not true. So a little bit of reflection is needed, I think. And maybe sometimes I think, okay, oh my god, I just opened up another realm of possibility with this meaning. So like, I think sometimes we deceive ourselves with all the tasks and like little goals and stuff to avoid like looking at ourselves. Like, if we're too busy to self-reflect, then we don't have to look at like all things that, you know, are bothering us. Another aspect of these cards, I think, is sort of like we like to have all these goals and this busyness sometimes because it makes us appear a certain way to other people. Like, we want to kind of cast this reflection of being like all put together and like successful. And yeah, so it can be a way to like deceive others as well as ourselves, just into looking a certain way because of how we define success as like busyness in this capitalist society that I live in the US. But yeah, that's another facet. So the third spread position is what could use some more thought, and we have temperance with mortality. So that's pretty blunt, I feel. I mean, temperance is all about kind of like balance and moderation. So, I mean, if you're going full speed ahead, then it makes sense to kind of balance it out by slowing up a little bit, you know? Because life doesn't last forever, as mean as that sounds. I mean, it's not mean, really, it's just reality. Like, the physical existence is only temporary. So, I don't know, I feel like it's a balance of what do you want to give your time to. Like, do you want to mindlessly just walk through life? I mean, maybe that works for some people. I mean, I ain't judging. Or do you want to, like, take time to freaking smell the flowers and do all that? So it might be helpful to think about, like, what you would want to spend your time on, considering the fact that you won't be here forever. Like, what, I don't know, I'm watching, like, this movie called, I think, How It Ends or something. Something like that. It's like where it's the last day on Earth or whatever. I hadn't got to the end, so I won't spoil it. I don't know what happens. But anyway, like, the lady in the movie is just kind of like looking forward to this party, and then like the party gets canceled, and then she's just like sad about it. And I don't know what happens after that because that's when I turned it off last night. But it's just kind of like she spends the whole day kind of looking forward to the party and just making amends with certain people in her life. And so I'm just getting from that, like, spending that little cliche thing, like living each day as if it were your last or whatever. Because, I mean, you never know, honestly, like, how long you have. And there's been things in my own life where I've been like, well, dang, if only I'd known, like, that would be all the time that I had with that person. So you just never know. So a little more awareness and like balance in life can go a long ways. And if you're like overworking yourself and you just feel like you never get to enjoy anything, just remember that one day it'll all be over. And if you're just like breaking your back trying to achieve some like goal that's just going to turn into another goal, then is that really living? I mean, I'm not against like working toward things, because honestly, having like a purpose and direction in life does, like, I think, make it easier. But it's just like when those get out of balance and it's like all we're focused on, like, that's when it becomes like problematic, I guess you could say. It's just like we need other facets of life, like this whole moderations, balance. Kind of like we need our own little blend of ingredients in life. Like, we need connection and families and friends, fun, rest, and like, you know, there's work and play. So gotta make time for both. The next position is how can I benefit, or how can we benefit from a slower approach? So we have the Ace of Moons, which is the Ace of Swords, and then Window. So, you know, the Ace of Swords is usually about like a new way of thinking, like a shift in perspective. And I'm just trying to make sense of this card. It's clearly a cat with the moon-shaped branchy thingy. And mushrooms, I see that. So I don't know, I'm just thinking like with the mushrooms, like they kind of grow from doo-doo sometimes. So, or like decomposing stuff, like they grow well in like the forest area with like all the dead leaves and stuff. So I mean, I guess a slower approach could help you realize like what thoughts and what actions you've taken in the past that have, you know, contributed to your current circumstances. Which, I mean, growth, I feel like growth still happens regardless of like how you perceive your approach. Like if you say it's negative or it's been harmful or whatever, like, I mean, you can still grow from anything. I feel like we're pretty adaptable. And so, I don't know, I'm just getting that maybe you could just gain a new understanding of your life if you were to slow down and kind of actually become aware of how you've been living it. Does that make sense? Maybe. And this window is looking like a doorway. These windows and doors, man. Other dimensions. So, I mean, you might step into a whole new land. I'm just kidding. I mean, for real though, like what possibilities are there? Oh my god, there's a cat throwing up outside. Are you gonna be alright, man? Hack it up, man. I'm sorry. Anyway, I feel like I'm even slowing down like with my reading right now. Just like the rush is gone. It's fine. Yeah, I feel like another thing that's coming up is just like when you kind of slow down, you do like notice more. So I feel like there's just a lot you could gain from kind of a more tedious approach. Yeah, so definitely a different perspective could be a benefit if you took a slower approach, and you might even feel more focused on where you're actually going because you'll actually be paying attention. The final position is how to slow down and reach our goals safely. And I think it's kind of funny that we got the Tower and then we have the Philosopher. So it's looking like gonna have to have an upheaval. Like the Tower is usually like, it's a card about the things that we build based on lies and illusions that feel like they're stable. And so in this case, I'm just getting like all the stuff, like the programming about like succeeding and reaching our goals, and you know how that makes us worthy of existing. So all that stuff, while it may be like a comfort, it's really based on illusion. Like it's not really the case. It's just a lie that we tell ourselves to make us feel important. I mean, I know that sounds harsh probably, and everybody's not gonna like this, but this is just where I'm at. So I mean, make your own judgments and all that. This is just one piece of the puzzle, but honestly, I just think we're here and we make it mean whatever it means. And nobody's any more right than anyone else, so I just think it's good to question the things that we tell ourselves and our actions following those things. So a way to slow down is just kind of like let it all crumble. Like maybe the worst, like whatever you think the worst thing that could happen, like whatever that is, maybe it's time to like make space for that. I mean, not saying you're just inviting in like horrible things and you just want things to crumble, but it's just like sometimes like the thing that we cling to the most is the thing that we like need the least, if that makes sense. So I feel like I'm not very clear on what our actual goal is, but maybe you know what your goal is. But I just think understanding, like I feel like it's kind of weird because with this reading, or it's kind of perfect actually, but with this reading I feel like it's not so much focused on like the goal and like the destination. Like it's really reflecting how important it is to reflect on the goal and the motivations behind it and the process toward it versus like focusing so much on like, well, we met the goal and this is the final, like, you know, everything ends after this. It's kind of like in movies, like everything is so like laid out perfectly. Like you got the little person at the beginning and they go through a journey and they reach the end and it's over. It's a neat little package, but at the end of the day that's only a section of a story. Like the story begins again and there's more challenges and more distractions and more successes and failures and whatever you define it as. So it's just like life is messy and it's not always gonna be like so straightforward. You freaking win the war and then it's all good, man. It's just like one battle leads to another and yeah, you just gotta ride the wave, man. So I think just these like ponderings of the things that we like, I don't know, it's kind of funny. This little cat is on like a, well, I mean, it looks like a pedestal to me. I mean, so I'm just getting like, we're all equal at the end of the day, like no matter what illusions we tell ourselves. And that's not to make anybody feel like crap. Like, you're really cool, I'm sure you're really cool. But I'm just saying, like, if you're looking at someone else and thinking, dang, I'm just not that cool. Like, it's not that serious. Like, it's only an illusion. Like, we all are, like, special just because we exist. Like, we don't have to meet any kind of goal or freaking, you know, we don't have to show up in any particular way to deserve to be here because we're already here. And that counts. I feel like I repeat myself a lot in these readings, but I mean, I'm just trying to deliver like the message that I get and what helps me feel better about myself. So I think that is pretty much it. I mean, I guess it boils down to like anytime you're like striving and not really like thinking about, I don't know, like not every time. I feel like it depends. But sometimes, if you're feeling like this urge, just like really like this need to just like get something or do something, it's kind of good to like question that urge and be like, where is this coming from? Like, what is driving this, you know, action or urge or whatever, however you want to phrase it. Because sometimes those, like that kind of sense of urgency can be coming from a place of like, just like a false need. So, I don't know. Just some food for thought. I think to close this out, I'm gonna pull from another couple of oracle decks just to kind of close it out and just to give me some more cards to pull because I get excited. So yeah, see you there. So yeah, let's just get final message from this deck for this reading. What final message do we need? Final message. You might want to see me shuffle it. I don't know. Alright, I think this is going to be the one. The Illusionist! Isn't that perfect? I was just talking about them illusions. Let's read that one. Give me a minute to find it. So the key words are trickster, imposter, performer. Says, to the illusionist, the world is a playground without limits. To possess an ever-changing personality, to mimic the fashions of others, and to disconnect from one's true self in order to become someone new. These are the ways the illusionist survives and thrives. It's probable we all know a person like this in our lives, and for some of us, we are this person. The illusionist, oh my god, the illusionist will knowingly alter their personality in the manner of a chameleon, and will present themselves as something other than authentic, usually for personal gain. In some cases, this is harmless, except to the illusionists themselves, or even entertaining. And yet, every action has a cost. To live a life of pretense is perhaps the greatest self-betrayal of all. Or, sorry, greatest self-betrayal possible. I don't know why I like insert my own version of that. I was being an illusionist. But anyway. So yeah, that kind of goes with it, I think. To sum it up, like, we kind of live out these facades, like, trying to be something and feel like we matter. But it's like, under false pretenses, because it's like, just to impress other people. And it's not really who we are. We just think it's who we think we have to be. So yeah, that's I feel like that sums it up nicely. So I'm debating on whether I want to pull another one just from another deck that's not related to these decks, just to see what we get. Cause I'm all excited. Cause this is like a Pokemon deck, and I just want to see if it works. I mean, clearly it works probably, but I'm just saying, like, I always love when the cards, they line up even when they're not even, I mean, I guess that's the point, but it's just like, it never ceases to amaze me just how cool, like, oracle cards and tarot is, because it just knows. Like, it's just cool. So yeah, this is gonna be another one. Let's just close this out and see, do a little test here. But yeah, I saw these and I was like, oh my god, it's like bringing me back to childhood with the little Burger King cards and the show and the little packs and the stove. So yeah, what is the final message that we need here? And this is this deck, Pokemon, oh my god, Pokami Omikuji. I butchered that, I'm so sorry. Alright, final message. Rank what you need most. So yeah, that goes along with what we were saying earlier about kind of taking stock of what you're giving your time to and maybe prioritize what needs to be prioritized, because we're not here for very long. So I think that it's good. Maybe let's just do one more. Let's do one more just because I can't stop. I could stop, but I don't want to. I guess we got two. So this one is regret. Oh, I never can do this right. Coordination, man. Regret is sometimes unavoidable. So yeah, I mean, maybe you might be tempted to beat yourself up about like all the time wasted or whatever, but It's just part of life, man. Like, it's gonna be there, and the longer you dwell in it, like, the longer it's gonna hurt. So, I mean, I'll allow yourself to feel it, obviously, but just know that it's there and it can be worked through. And then we have, I don't really understand this one, but it says apprehend your environment. Where is it? Okay. Let that focus in there. I forgot this had a little like book for it too. Let me see what the book say. I just fold out thinking of Popper. Let's see. Where is it? It's very small. Let us see. Okay, so for rank what you need, it says reflection. You have more time than you think. What can you accomplish today? Should you organize by joy? So yeah, that's saying slow down. You got more time than you think. It's alright. It's all good. Then I'm gonna read this one right here. When I find it, it says, write your idols. They will not live forever. Who do you need to contact? So I mean, that's just saying like, do the most, or not do the most, but like do more of like what is authentically like what you would want to do, and less of what you feel is expected of you. So that fits as well. And then apprehend your environment. Says neglect. You're responsible for the life of every living thing. What invisible limitations can you refuse today? Who or what needs your help? Yeah. So I feel like by you holding yourself back, that's kind of like holding other people back from experiencing the true you, man. Like, don't be an illusionist. Like, don't be a faker.